So, what happens when you mix satire, spectacle, and revolution? Today, we're going to be talking about One Battle After Another, and trust me when I tell you, this movie was a wild ride. Hi, my name's Abiel. I am a student filmmaker, and this is a movie review channel. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button for more like this. I'm going to go ahead and just get this off my chest. I thought that at times this movie is a bit hard to watch with everything that we have going on in the world right now and the way that it chooses to handle some of its deeper issues. I was a bit taken aback, and so I am going to keep this review as professional as possible. We are going to hit our usual plot points. We're going to talk about characters, story design, and definitely spectacle. But I do want to just acknowledge that this movie was a bit difficult as a watch. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right into character. Starting with Bob, he is the ultimate flawed protagonist. Leaning in very heavy into some of the international films that I watched. Seeing a character like Bob just really resonated with me. And to me, a flawed protagonist is very interesting. So I did find Bob's character to be very compelling. He was messy, reckless, and sometimes frustrating, but definitely central to the story. Then we had Willow. She represents the new generation, and she was a standout for me as far as performance goes. The actress was a standout as far as performance goes. And now let's move on to Lockjaw. He was just a horrible villain most of the movie and sometimes cartoonish. And he did provide the occasional comic relief. Moving on to Perfidia Beverly Hills. I thought that this was where the movie was the most disappointing. She was supposed to be this powerful leader of the French 75, but the script did not give that character enough depth, and that was just so heartbreaking for me. I really do think that Teyana Taylor played a very cool and brought great energy to the film, even if the writing was heavy-handed and handled a lot of issues inappropriately. Narratively, though, moving on, the film has a lot to dive into. It talks about immigration, revolution, federalization, and systematic racial oppression, including how military is weaponized for corruption. But here's the issue. The story feels choppy, and because of the lack of character development, the revolution ends up getting pushed to the back burner and spectacle takes the main stage. And that just leaves the narrative feeling a bit confused. You don't really know what the movie's about. And so you get lost in the sauce. And overall, because the movie is very entertaining, you just begin to seep into the level. You just begin to seep into the idea of just being entertained because you forget what the story is actually about. Let's go ahead and move on to set design. I thought that this was the best part of the movie. Honestly, the underground tunnels representing the Underground Railroad, the steep hills layering in an immersive world where the cinematography was just the standout for me, and the way that that steep hill scene really framed the confrontation between Bob, Lockjaw, and Willow. That was just the height and ultimate climax. I really thought that was a really unique and standout for this movie, and I will definitely remember that for a long time. It's not just that it was visually stunning, but it did definitely reinforce the movie's narrative. So I really feel that for me, the set design was the standout for this movie. So here's my takeaway for One Battle After Another. It does boast a confrontational narrative, but it doesn't quite deliver on a complete story. I think that it leans too heavily on satire and fails to understand how you can't talk about revolution while also not understanding the impact that certain narrative messages will take on, because it begins to be a contradiction at some point. Still, the submersive world and the cinematography does bring the story home in the end, so you do get the message, but still so many things being layered on top. It just fails to address certain issues in a way that seems appropriate for the story that it's trying to tell. So my final thoughts are, for a film that wants to challenge you, it doesn't quite succeed, but the atmosphere overall definitely does tell the narrative story. I didn't leave feeling disappointed. I left feeling entertained. So with that being said, that concludes my review of One Battle After Another. And go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because there will be more reviews in the future. And I'll see you later. Bye.